Hey everybody, checking out Mainstream Monday here on Horror Film Lovers. I'm your host, Jonathan Moody. I'm here with
John Ward,
John Ward. How you doing, John?
I'm fine. How are you?
I've been better, but it's okay. We'll get through this. It's been a day. I'm just but I will say this. Remember how last movie was like my least favorite of the Saw movies I've seen? Saw, I think Saw 5 was called
Part
my
five,
least
yeah.
favorite. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
This is one of the best. I loved it. I absolutely had a blast.
Good.
And I know you had told me before it was very political, and I forgot that until I started watching it. And I was like, damn, this movie is very John told me it was going to be very political and it was going to be about the healthcare system. And I didn't realize how political or how healthcare system-y it was, but it was great. I loved it.
Good. Yeah, it's my favorite one, and I had no problem rewatching it. I think I've now seen this like four times, and yeah, so even with the upcoming ones, this is still my favorite one. So
Uh, yeah, definitely. This was a really, really good one. I enjoyed and like I think I sent you a message about it, but or maybe I didn't. I know. I think I did. That Tobin Bell is not listed on IMDb as being in it, but like this has been one of the most he's ever been in the movie, Like he shows up a lot throughout it,
yeah,
There's no reason for him not to be on IMDb, so I don't know what happened if somebody just messed up on when they were posting it on IMDb, but like yeah, it got some, for some reason or another it did not do very well. So, or
wait,
did
what
not
did it?
put. Well, it didn't go on IMDb. I don't know why.
Oh, oh, uh, mistake, or I have no idea. I don't know.
Yeah.
I would assume it would be on there.
I thought like because I was looking up it while I was watching the movie, and I was like, oh, Tobin Bell's not in this movie, right? And then he shows up, and I'm like, wait, what? So it wasn't like it was somebody else playing Jigsaw, it was Tobin Bell
And you're saying on IMDb?
on IMDb. Yeah. Yeah, if you look him
Uh,
up on IMDb, it doesn't even say he's in Saw 6.
Not that I don't believe you, but I do want to. I like looking at these things myself. So,
Yeah, it goes
he's not.
from Saw 5 to Saw 3D.
Yeah, he's definitely not with the main people.
I was thinking maybe it's under archive footage, but like still that wasn't archive footage. No. That was like full on footage for the
No.
movie. So, yeah. I don't know why he's not listed. It's just weird, but I saw that and was like, that's a big mistake. Lionsgate's got to fix, you know. You know,
Well,
uh you're
if they haven't fixed it yet, I mean,
you're
maybe there's a
robbing him
reason.
of his of more of his resume, you know? But whatever. I mean,
Yeah, I definitely don't see him.
no, I'm not making it up. So if
No, no, no. I
it's just
just like looking
weird to
stuff
me.
up
It's just weird to me.
because you
Um,
can do the. If you go way down to the bottom, do they still have it? Because you can look up.
like
Um,
uncredited or something.
Well, like you can look at, like you could search, like you could put in Tobin Bell Jigsaw, and then it will bring up like every time he's played Jigsaw.
Right.
But I don't see that anymore. It does say
Yeah,
that you can edit page. You could always add them in.
I know. Well, I hate that because we've had that. Well, I've had that problem. I don't think you even had that problem yet. But there are people that will actually go into your page and edit shit and say nasty things about you if they want, and IMDb does not police this stuff. They do not fix any of that issues. So,
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah.
so I don't feel like editing that because it's not my business, man. For whatever reason, they didn't do it. But I do want to mention this. this was the first of the Scream Queens um era of Saw. Saw 6 and 7 have that show Scream Queens, right? That was the VH1 show.
Right.
Um and I'm actually like I worked with one of the girls that was on it, Sierra Holmes. She was on the second one, which she would have been in Saw 7, Saw 3D. But unfortunately, she did not make the cut, and what is it, Gabby West did, so she is in that one. But this one had Tanedra Howard, I think is the girl's name, that won the first one, and she's the first one, she's that girl. That's why I kind of had her in the background there. She cut off her arm to make a pound of flesh and stuff to win the, competition between the guy or whatever, you know and stuff. I think it was a pound, right? It was like whoever had more
Yeah,
flesh
yeah, it
or
was,
whatever.
yeah. And it's hilarious because he's like an overweight guy, so he has all this like blubber to cut off, and then she lifts her shirt up, and it's just like muscle.
Yeah.
It's like there's nothing to cut off. So,
Yeah, so she had to just go right to the arm
yeah.
and stuff. And that was a really fucked up scene, like um,
I
in a
remember
way.
watching Scream Queens, but it gets confused with
The
the
one with your
Ryan,
favorite actress, you
yeah,
know.
with my Emma Roberts in it.
Your
So because
your
they're
Emma Roberts.
my Emma Roberts. So
Yes.
oh, one day she will be mine. Um, but
Hey man, there are worse goals to have in life,
that's
Having
right.
Emma Roberts as your wife is a good goal, I would say. But yeah, she was fantastic. That show was so good. But the VH1 show is completely different, and a lot of people do get those two confused. I see that's the one thing I didn't like about when Sierra went around saying, "Oh, I was in Scream Queens," because it was right after that other show, so people thought she meant the other show, and so yeah, it was very confusing.
Yeah, I think I only watched the first season of the competition one, but I
Hmm.
did watch both seasons of the Emma Roberts one. So they were
Yeah,
supposed to do a season three, but I think that got canceled because of American Horror Story 1984. Because part three was supposed to take place or season three was supposed to take place at a summer camp.
so the first season of what is it? The first season of the Scream Queens competition show had James Gunn as the main
Right.
person and everything. And then the second one had who was the it was the guy who directed 2001 Maniacs, Tim Sullivan. So it
Okay.
was, yeah, it was him, but he wasn't the draw that James Gunn was mainly, and everything at that time. Fair, even now it would be even bigger, but now James Gunn wouldn't do something like that. He's
Got
too
to pay him a
busy.
lot of money.
He's too busy running DC Studios, and everything. But yeah, he was a part of that, and so Tanedra won the competition. The competition was the winner. Is in the first, I guess, the first scenes or whatever, the first trap and the first stuff that happens and everything. And she did. I thought she did a good job. I mean, it wasn't a huge role, so it wasn't anything to go, oh my God, she was fan. It was just a really cool, like, oh, they gave her a nice trap to do.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know.
So I actually I brought up the traps in this one like we did for part five. So let's
Yeah, I
see
like
here.
that. Let's keep doing that.
So yeah, so Pound of Flesh is the first one. And then yeah, because that's Simone and Eddie. So she's Simone, Eddie's the big guy.
Yep.
And they have 60 minutes to cut off their skin, or I'm sorry, 60 seconds to cut off their skin and put it on the little scale,
Hmm.
and then whoever has the most weight wins. And they got the like the drills that go into their head. Um,
Hmm.
but it's funny it's is this can you say that anything is symbolic? Because Billy's on there and he's like, this is symbolic of the people, of all the money that you stole from all these people. You have to cut off the a pound of flesh, or the drills going into your head. Can't you really say anything is symbolic of that? Couldn't they
Well,
be in water? Couldn't they be like waterboarded? And they're just and it's like the water is a symbol of you're gonna have to
well,
suffer through a gallon of water.
well, to be honest, it wasn't the normal Billy, right? It wasn't what's his name? It wasn't Tobin Bell's character. It wasn't him being the Billy. It was the voice was manipulated and was to make it sound like it was, but it was instead it was well, I mean, I guess that spoils at the end, but it was Hoffman was the voice. So he's the one saying all these things. So I think that was part of the thing was that Hoffman might say some things that Jigsaw wouldn't even say. Like it's
Well,
symbolic, of whatever. And you know, he's just wrong or whatever, like he's
well, I know. I guess what I'm saying is, couldn't anything be symbolic?
right.
The coffin that you are in, that's 4 feet underground, that you're suffocating in, is symbolic of all the money that you could almost say that it's, and I understand what a pound of flesh is. I mean, it is a saying, but it's, and I don't think that this Hoffman set everything up, but this is through Jigsaw.
Mm-hmm.
This is the final. And when is the final? Because Hoffman goes, we're almost done with John's plan. Well, what is the ending of John's plan? Like, is this it? Is for him to take revenge on the people who didn't give him what he needed to go get the experimental, surgery done? Is
Um,
that the end? Was to torture all them, and then it's done. Like that's it. It's done.
I mean, honestly, you can't say any of it's done because this movie just keeps going. Like, it's gonna continue, so it's never gonna be done until the writers are like, "We're done. This is
Well, I
it."
mean, I guess it could be John's done, but Hoffman isn't, which
Hoffman,
is like in part five, where it's more revenge than,
right?
while this one is following John's plan from
Yeah,
what we see in the box. And I love that we got Amanda back,
got Amanda
and
back.
yeah, and we got Jigsaw's wife,
And
Betsy
I thought
Russell.
Amanda was only gonna have that one scene in the beginning, and that was it. And I was like, wow, they brought her back for that one scene because she kind of disappears for a little bit too. Then she comes back, and then I was like, okay, good, because I love seeing her. I love seeing all the flashback scenes with her and with Hoffman because they really did not get along. They
No, and that's another thing of why I love this series is you have Hoffman in this room setting up this trap. In, let's say, well, in part two, you have like Amanda over here in this room, and then but then in part, I'm just gonna make up a part, but then in like part six, Hoffman is over in this room, but we don't see it until like part six, even though he's in part two type of thing. Like
hmm
he's way back there setting up a trap. Well, I guess that kind of works out because that's he and John are setting up the gun in from part two, from when the guy looks
hmm
through the peephole. But Amanda, yeah, Amanda is around. So that means that while we're watching part two, Amanda's there, Hoffman is there, John is there, but we never see it.
I wonder if they were thinking like this would be one of the last ones because like it felt like because you said like this is almost over for John's plan or whatever, and then later um uh if I'm correct, Hoffman dies in this, right? Does he
Oh
die?
no. Oh no.
He doesn't die. He shoots all those people at the end and kills all those people, but he didn't die, did he?
No, this has my God, would this be my first favorite ending? Because I love the glass casket in part five. It's very Dr. Fives.
Oh yeah,
And
where the glass casket and you think he's being smushed
yeah,
or
and he's
something and he's
yeah,
not, you
yeah,
know.
instead he just, and I love at the beginning of this one how he just kind of comes up and just
Almost like
opens it.
Bela
And
Lugosi, like Dracula, you know.
yeah, I mean
Mhm.
it's just this glass coffin that is awesome. So and then but the ending of this one is, God, it's tied with part five, is where he gets the modified bear trap, reverse bear trap, and he sticks it under the bars in the
Right.
wind in the door, so it does open, but it rips off half of the side of his face.
That's right.
So he's
That's
on his knees, like yelling as his skin is just hanging off.
okay. Okay,
And I fucking loved that. And then it just ends with that, knowing
right.
that there is going to be one more at least. But I think
Yeah.
that's when Paranormal Activity started to make more money. And so they're like, okay, yeah, we're gonna do one more to kind of wrap it all up, and then Paranormal Activity kind of took over from there. But that's, yeah, he shoots all the people in the room because they figure out that it's his
Yeah,
voice.
they know it's him.
So, well, I think they know that it's him all along. I think that they kind of put it all together, that especially Strom's partner coming back, and that they kind of hid her. And it's the big see, the big problem with the next one, and a lot of people pointed this out, and is the blood is pink. And I don't know if that's because of the 3D, but when you
Um,
when you watch it, it's not red. There's
ah,
something wrong with the blood. And it's
great.
not
Thanks for
like,
the warning.
yeah, it's not like pink pink, but it's definitely not the red that we're used to.
Yeah, it's not the
Um,
normal red color. Okay.
yeah, and but I love everything in this. To me, there is not one bad thing. And remember, I said, we're not done with that one guy who gave, John's wife the miscarriage. We're not
Hmm.
done with him. We're not.
Yeah, so weren't he came back because apparently who was there? Somebody else was there. Amanda?
It was him
Somebody.
and Amanda. Yeah, she was all cracked out, and that's them driving in the car, and
Um,
she's like, be a man, go in and get the drugs. And so she's the one who told him to go in, and then he was the one faking. Hey, I left my code in there,
right.
and then that's when he steals the drugs and hits her with the door. Which means when he leaves, he gets back into the car with Amanda, which means that John is right outside. He's
Yeah,
waiting in the car for her to get off work.
so they're gonna have to be done with Amanda, period, or so after a little bit because after like 20 years of this, Shawnee Smith isn't gonna look the same after a while. She's gonna start to look different, and they're gonna have to de-age her or something to make her look once again like she did when she died, like before she died, you know.
Well, I mean, should I say something?
I mean, do you ever see it like that? I guess because like I guess Saw X I think has her in it from what I read.
She's in it.
And so like that is sort of much later. So, but I mean, does she look older at all?
She does, but they give her that same wacky hairdo that wig that's all messed up. So she looks older in part 10. She's in 11 too, from what I understand. Um, and but it doesn't matter that
Right.
she looks older because we want her back.
Right.
We're so happy that they did it. The thing with Tobin Bell is because this is, you know, before he dies of cancer. So Tobin Bell being older works out well because he's older, he's thinner. So him having the cancer actually works in
Mm-hmm.
part 10 because
Okay.
he looks like he should,
Yeah.
so
Well,
that works.
okay. I mean, as long as nobody really cares, but it's like after a while,
No, we
you
just
would
wanted
think
Shawnee Smith back,
this is why like it's so funny when people have vampire TV shows. And I'm like, you can't have a vampire TV show for like 20 seasons, you
Would
know.
you no
The
would you
vampires are going to start to age and then you're going to be like, I don't get that, you know? Like how can they be,
Yeah,
you
be
know,
like if they did what, like a sequel to Interview with a Vampire and brought back Kirsten Dunst, who's 10 in the first
yeah.
movie.
Well, they
Now
couldn't.
she's
They
like,
they wouldn't be able to bring her back. They'd have to bring somebody another 10-year-old back and pretend it's her because she can. Yeah, you're right. Or she'd have to play a different character, which she could do. But like if they did Interview with a Vampire and they asked like Brad Pitt or was it Christian Slater? Was he in that?
Slater's in it. Yeah.
Yeah, Pitt was in it too, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. He's
Yeah,
the other
because it was
vampire.
like
Yeah.
an all-star cast. Like, I that and True Romance is so funny that had both Christian Slater and Brad Pitt together, or whatever. But those guys, those three with Tom Cruise were those were the at that particular time, those were the guys, those are the Hollywood megastars. You know,
Yeah, and Christian Slater's there because of Joaquin Phoenix.
what Joaquin Phoenix was in it?
Wait, River Phoenix. I'm sorry,
River.
River Phoenix.
I was gonna say Joaquin was in it. Like he must have
River,
been
yeah, River
must have
was
been like a
supposed to.
10-year-old.
No, he was supposed to play the Christian Slater role, but he died.
Oh.
So Christian Slater took over, and that's also the film that started the battle between Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt. They've never been in a movie together again. So
Mm. No,
they've been basically they just don't want to work together.
I get
So
it. Like after a while, you're probably like, like I'm the megastar. No, I'm the megastar. Who are we gonna put on the cover, like first on the cover, and who's gonna get their name at the top first?
well, at the time, Tom Cruise, because he'd be the bigger
Right
guy. Yeah.
at the time, but
But
now
also
who?
has like Antonio Banderas, and it's got a bunch of people in there.
Yeah. I have it on Blu-ray. I don't think I ever watched it. Just hadn't.
It's a good movie. I've
I don't
never
know.
read the
I've heard.
books, so I don't have a
Was
reference,
it
but
Anne Rice, right? And
yeah.
you know, um, she did what Queen of the Damned and some other, you know.
Yeah, Vampire Lestat, and she was very vocal that she did not want Tom Cruise to play Lestat. And
He's too
but then it
short.
was one of those things where after the movie came out, then she turned around on it and she's like, "Oh no, he's great." But so I'm guessing Warner Brothers probably went, "Here's $1 million.
Yeah,
Please go
just
on TV shows and say that you really like Tom Cruise in it now."
that's probably what they did with Rachel Zegler. Here's some money. Go retract everything you freaking said.
Oh my
And
God.
then she probably looked at everybody and go, "But you told me to say it." You know.
Oh
That's
yeah,
how
yeah.
that's how I view Hollywood really, like especially big companies. They tell you what to say. They coach you on because they don't want to get caught off guard, with stuff. So they probably coached Rachel Zegler to say all those things about Snow White and everything. Then when that went haywire and south, they were like, never mind, you gotta go over there and you gotta change what you're saying and say the exact opposite of what you're
I
saying, even though it makes you look like an idiot.
I agree with most of that. I think that because they didn't stop her. She kept saying it over and over and over and over again. And I think, yeah, so I think a lot of it was Disney telling her what to do, but I think that she was also doing some of it herself.
Right. Well, no, I think
And
she really believed all of the things she was saying, but I think like if she really believed what she was saying, and it's just like the whole like Melissa
well,
Barrera thing. If she went on a on an interview during during Scream 7 or Scream 6 or whatever, and was like, free Palestine during the interview, and Sony would have been like, what the fuck? But I guarantee you she didn't do any of those, didn't say that stuff, because they told her, do not say anything political, do not say this or whatever like that. And that is what she believes, so she still had to shut her mouth, you know?
well, I think I'm gonna take back a little bit of Disney telling Rachel Zegler what to say, because I did see a compilation video of stuff that she has said. Like she really put down Shazam 2 on the red carpet. She goes, well, the interviewer asked her, and we're gonna be, not saying it exactly, but they said like, oh, how did you like being in this movie? And she goes, well, we all have to pay rent. And
I
that's
mean,
on the red carpet at the premiere. And then for Spielberg with West Side Story, is she was going around saying that because he did shoot it in Spanish. So, that one, her side is all Spanish. And she was really saying, no, don't use subtitles. People should learn Spanish. And Spielberg's like, no. The company is like, no, we're putting subtitles in there. But yet she was the one going, well, people are stupid. They should learn Spanish. That way they could watch the movie. So she's always been like that.
yeah.
And it's so I think to a degree, Disney probably said to do something, but then I think a lot of it is her. I think the weird is her. I
No,
think
that's
the
definitely her.
stalker thing is her.
Yeah,
Uh,
I don't think they told her to say that he's a stalker. I think they just told her to say that this is gonna be a new Snow White, that she's not gonna be saved by the prince. I think that was a lot her. I think a
yeah,
lot of that was her.
yeah. Then she says that the actor that plays the prince could be cut out of the movie because it's Hollywood
That's
baby.
Hollywood, baby.
That's all her. I mean,
Mm.
it's now you have that Amandla, was it Stemberg or Steinberg or whatever?
Stenberg, yeah.
Yeah, Stemberg, and now she's well, she's not so much anymore. Now it's the cast of Agatha
Which sucks
all
because I
along.
love Aubrey Plaza, and now she's saying she signed up for the gayest Marvel show ever, and everything.
Because
So
that's what it's. God, we are way off topic. Uh, but it's so I was talking with somebody and it's just like, well, when are we going? We thought that we were going in a different direction with Deadpool and Wolverine, and Disney they fired a lot of people, realizing that that movie made over $1 billion and these aren't. But we still have a bunch of stuff that was made like 2 years ago.
mhm.
So
Like we
there's
got Daredevil
Ironheart.
Born Again, which they are saying good things of people are
Well,
saying, they
they
have
reshot
to.
it.
Yeah.
They pulled the original and they reshot it. So there's Ironheart, there's Agatha all along.
I think Ironheart
There's
got canceled.
it's I believe it was made. I think it was made, but they unless they're gonna pull a Warner Brothers
I
and
hope they
just not
do,
release the
honestly.
stuff. So I get that there's gay characters in Agatha. I get there's the coven of space of gay space witches again, just like in the Acolyte, that they're in this again because it was made like 2 years ago.
Right.
But you don't have to have the cast go on to the red carpet today and criticize the fans. Like the that one character, I think his name is something like Scout or whatever it is, the guy who was in like a gay show before this, and now he's a gay character on this, and he was criticizing all the fans like a couple months ago. And it's just like, oh, okay, well now I don't have to watch it because all you're doing is criticizing me instead of coming out and saying, um, it's a good show, we're proud of it, it's got good characters, good effects, good story, good directing. We hope that people like it. Instead, it's, oh, if you don't like it, then you're a homophobe.
Yeah. I
So
don't
I
know.
guess I
Would you have watched it anyway? I don't think you would have.
no,
You
no, not
I
no.
don't think
If
you were
if it
interested.
got good reviews, you never know.
But
But I
yeah,
just no,
yeah.
not especially not after this. I mean,
And you
it's
know
just
what?
like they don't stop.
And you know what I love? The Saw franchise doesn't have any of that shit. The Saw franchise is made for horror fans, horror film lovers, just like us, you know. He
So far there has been nothing. Even Jigsaw, there's the movie Jigsaw, there's been nothing. Spiral, even though it's the Black Saw, there's no
which
criticizing white people in it or anything. It's just,
diversity is good. I agree.
well, yeah, and it's just that there are cops that are white, there are cops that are black, and
And
they're
in this series, that happens. Dark, you was it
well, Danny
uh
Glover.
Danny
So
Glover, and then there's the other cop that was black. I think there's another one too.
yeah, there's Hispanic cops. There's all that type
Yeah.
of stuff.
I
So
mean,
it's, but
they
they,
definitely are trying to be diverse, you know.
which is fine because on police forces you would imagine there's some diversity,
Yeah.
in
I
there,
mean,
but they don't criticize people. No, nobody. I don't remember anybody from Saw 6 going, if you have a problem with a black woman being tortured at the beginning of this film, you're a racist.
mhm.
I don't remember that at all. Instead, I remember her
Well,
doing interviews going, oh, yeah, I was on Scream Queens, I won, and now I'm in Saw 6.
once again, this comes at that time period where this wasn't a like the whole Jada Pinkett Smith stuff of you know white the there's no black people in Hollywood movies anymore or whatever, Oscar so white kind of stuff, which is, which, okay, sure, and then guess what? Then right after that happens, there's Chris Rock makes Saul or Spiral, you know, and and then he gets slapped by her husband. But but like the point is that, he was trying to do something. Like he was probably thinking, you know what? There's not enough there's a lot of white people in Saul. It would be nice to have a whole movie that is like that. And the beautiful thing is it says it's Spiral from the Book of Saul. It doesn't say this is the new Saul. They didn't call it Saul. It wasn't like that. They weren't trying to do that. They were just trying to make a different movie with different characters in a different world that you're not, that isn't the usual Saul world, I'm guessing, and everything. And I love that. I appreciate that. I just don't appreciate when the, characters are like you said, like they're like the actors are out there trying to say, well, if you don't like this, then you're this or that or that. And that happens a lot on like Twitter. That happens a lot on, just regular life these days. It seems like people just make such a big deal out of shit that they shouldn't.
But if you decide to alienate your one side of the aisle, like my discussion today with a particular filmmaker, and who, who has on his Facebook page, fuck conservatives, you now just lost half your audience.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, that is the worst thing that you could do. It's, so you don't want everybody. It doesn't
No,
matter what political side they're on, or what religion they are, or to buy and watch your films. Because if I saw something like that on somebody's Facebook page, I'd be like, oh, okay, I guess I don't need to watch your movies then.
Well, even though I'm not conservative, or whatever, I'm not even anything, specifically as far as, you know, political views goes. Um, when I see that, it makes me think like, why are you complaining about Hollywood not wanting you when you're also doing the one thing Hollywood would not want, which is to alienate now, Hollywood is full of liberals, and a lot of them don't like conservatives, but none of them, not many of them would purposely put that up on their like, you know, uh, Twitter or Facebook or Instagram because like Michael Bay might be, I don't know what he is, but I'm gonna guess he's liberal, say he's liberal, I don't know, right? He's not going to go if you don't, if you're a Republican, don't go see my movie,
Oh no,
Transformers.
he's been vocal about that. He doesn't. You think his films are conservative, but they're not.
Right.
They're even though they're very Americana with the
But
flags and all that.
uh,
But he has said that no, he was raised in a liberal household, but he doesn't discuss politics in his movies, and that's because he wants everybody to see them.
exactly.
So, but you do have, is it one, two, three? It's the fourth highest grossing movie that's out there is Am I a Racist?
Hmm.
And I can understand why it's fourth because it's still like Deadpool. It's still, it's all the big ass movies that have been out. And so this film that only cost, like a few $1 million is number four in the box office. Well, that
Hmm.
says something right there. I mean, it's kind of another, Sound of Freedom or something like that. But
Right.
it's and to kind of go what you're saying and to kind of stir us back in the solid direction is I think maybe that's why it's interesting because my favorite slasher series is Chucky, and the
Hmm.
creator of Chucky is gay. And once he kind of took over, the movies and the show became very gay. And I don't think that anybody could say, my God, how dare you say that? Just watch them. I
Right.
mean, in the TV show, the two lead characters are two gay guys.
Hmm.
And,
But
Chucky and Tiffany had, Glenn and Glinda.
mhm.
So
Nice Ed
but
Wood reference, by the way. Like I love that they did that.
yeah, I think that's
Tiffany.
awesome. And I love both. I love Chucky and I love Saw. So Saw is neutral, unless it comes to something like the healthcare system. And then Chucky is, um, I don't know if you would say I don't think it's an agenda, but its creator is expressing how he feels in his show.
Hmm.
And I like both because in Chucky, he doesn't criticize people. He doesn't say, "Oh, if you don't like Chucky, that means you're a homophobe."
Well,
And
he doesn't have his characters sort of point that shit out either.
nothing like that.
He doesn't have the characters go, oh, are you a homophobe? Oh, blah, 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 right? Like this isn't all into it. It's not in your face. And that is what makes good, work is when it's not in your face because if it's in your face and everything, then everybody has to get defensive and there has to be like this exchange against each other. And instead, we should be like supporting each other and helping each other out and doing, like that's why I'm not political because I feel like if I become political, people I will have to pick a side or something, because that's how it is. It's either one side or the other these days.
It's a tough thing because I'm now a centralist, and so it's tough going because I was on a podcast last night with Philip Tricky, and we brought up the Purge movies.
Mm,
And he watched the first three, and he said that he didn't like the first one too much. He thought the second one was okay, but loved the third one, which was election year,
Mm,
which I thought was really strange because Philip is conservative. And I'm just like, that's about Hillary. Like the guys who do the Purge movies are liberal.
mm,
And it's so the main character who is a woman running for like president is meant to be Hillary because this film came out in 2016
mm.
and they're very political. And I got a couple people because it was a live podcast. When I got done, they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm not going to watch The Purge anymore because of what I was saying because it's a very political, almost one-sided series." And
Ah,
they even had two TV shows or
but
two
then
seasons at least.
we did The Hunt, and
I
even
brought that up.
then, oh, you brought that up that you were a little like you changed your tune a little bit on it, like and it was a little different. It wasn't exactly one-sided. It did show a little bit of both sides on that one.
I still think that they should have shown, and I brought this up in Philip's podcast, is that and he disagreed with me, and some of his subscribers disagreed too. Is that I just feel that if you're going to do it, I think you do need to pick a side. I think if you're going to make a documentary about global warming, you kind of need to be on the side that says we need to do something about global warming.
Right.
If you're going to make a documentary about 9/11, I think you kind of need to be on the side that says, did our government know that this was going to happen? And that's the sides that they took. So it's so I find it very interesting that he liked the Purge movies. And I mentioned now being a centralist that would I even look at those differently now? Because when I was watching them, I did vote for Hillary. I was more Democrat. And I love them because they
But
were
did you
kind of against that side.
did you really think Hillary would be good for our country? I mean, honestly.
Better than Trump, yeah.
Right, right. I
And
mean,
and
that's what you
and
were.
and I still do. Yeah. I,
Um,
I I don't think that she would have called COVID a democratic hoax and not do anything about it and then
well, I
tell
mean,
people
because
to
she
drink
would have been.
bleach.
Never mind. I don't want to get into those things. I think that's a whole different topic on a whole different thing. I do want to say that, yeah, to go back to Saul, the Saul movies don't seem very political. I wonder if one day they're going to get that way. Just because. Well, I mean, other than this one, this was very political. This was about the healthcare system, and I fucking loved that. I loved how they were the insurance were the bad guys, which they are, but that
Yeah.
like they pointed this out. This wasn't a very like subtle, this was in your face. We're saying it, we're calling it out. The insurance people are the problem because that's the whole point of John Kramer talking to the insurance guy William, who for a while thought that test was all about him. Nope, nope. that was
No, and that
so that was
that's the
awesome.
great twist in there
Yep.
is we think he's the dad and he's not the dad.
Nope. They say the family, and he even like looks at them like, "Who are you?" kind of thing. And then he looks at his sister and is like, "Oh, his sister got to watch him die," because I knew that was coming, by the way. When the woman's like, "I can't do it, I can't do it," and the son's like, I said it out loud. I said, "Well, he can," and he goes,
I
"Well, I
love
can't."
that he can. I love that he could throw that switch and kill that guy because I would have done the same thing.
You
And I think that is he I working in storage and especially after watching Saw 6, and even from a long time ago, is at times I have to do stuff that I don't like doing. Somebody will have their unit, they owe us over $1,000 when originally their rent was maybe like $100, and all their belongings are inside that unit. And
right.
that could be their dead mother's stuff. That could be the son that didn't come back from war. It could be just furniture or whatever it is. And I have to deny them. There's ways
It's policy.
that it is policy, but I get nothing out of it. We offer alternatives. You could pay it all. You could pay half of it and then you got to move out. You could let it go to auction, but then we'll go to collections. So there's ways, especially with Extra Space, because they're a very liberal company, that they try to get people to, we have to take something, but at least I'm not making money off of this. So when I
Right.
do feel shitty that somebody's like family urn was in that unit and now it's gone forever, plus why are you putting an urn inside a storage unit? But um
But is that real? Is that like something you found?
yeah, people leave. Yeah, they put urns in there for some reason instead of keeping them at home. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's ridiculous.
but I don't make money off of it
Hmm.
at all. The people in Saw 6 did. So if you have cancer or something like that, and they could do that, um, that previous, you know, uh, ailment that you would have. I'm blanking on exactly how I want to phrase that. The previous condition, which by the way, Trump got rid of. That was the one thing that he did do that I liked, is he got rid of a pre-existing condition. He got rid of that. And
He watched all six. He's probably a
so
fan.
no, I'm sorry, I take that back. I'm sorry, I take that back. Obama got rid of the pre-existing condition, but then Trump got rid of the, if you don't have insurance, they charge you. Because Obama did it with like, oh yeah, if you don't have Obamacare or your taxes roll around, you get charged for not having insurance. And when Trump came into office, he got rid of that. And
Thank
at the time,
God.
I didn't have insurance, so I didn't get charged. So it happened to work out.
Well,
But
I didn't either, and I never got charged for anything that I know of through my taxes. I don't know. I didn't have about I have health care, you know, right now that I pay, but I mean, it's really shitty health care. It's like the worst, like the bottom of the bottom, I pay like 40 bucks a month, or whatever, and that gets, I can't even go to the doctors, and like I went to my ear doctors and they didn't even have my insurance company that I have, you know, and everything. It's like one of the lowest of the low, but like it's what I can afford, you know? And I feel like I have to have something, otherwise, I mean, you know, right? Like something bad can
well, you
happen to
you
me,
you
and
should, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
If something
But
bad
these,
happens to me, it might help, you know?
oh yeah, yeah, no, you should definitely have insurance. And these people made money off of that. They were living the high life with, and of course their boss William was making even more money off of them. So so that's why I think I love this, is because it's not like they denied them, like you said, because of policy. They denied them for money. And
Hmm.
I remember
They said
I
it was
remember
policy, though. They said it was policy, and that was the big thing. Because he kept saying, "Oh, that's just our policy," you know? And they were like, "That's messed up," you know?
it's a
Like,
different type of policy, because I was denied a few times. I remember that, is I think that they did. I broke my collarbone when I was in my 20s. And there was at some point where an insurance company said, like, we can't take you because of a pre-existing condition from like 20 years ago because you broke your collarbone. And like, what the fuck? That was 20 years ago. There was like a bicycle. It was a moped accident. What is it? Well, this could lead to this, and which could lead to that. So I love that they took that on. So I don't know what else they could do if they wanted to be more political. So maybe it kind of went in the right direction, because they
well,
kind of, I don't, yeah, I don't think any of the other ones are that way.
was talking to my dad about this whole storyline and everything. And he said, "Oh yeah, all that changed with like Obamacare." And I was like, did Obama watch the Saw movies? Like, did this change like how things are done, and everything? Because this was before Obama, I think, or so, like before Obamacare, definitely. So I think like at that time period, they were you know, like good things happen because and that's what I love about movies. Movies can change the world. Nobody thinks about that, you know? And that's why I think you're right about like people should say how they feel, like when they make a movie. Now, I'm not saying they should say, if you don't watch this, you're a homophobe, but I'm saying like they should be like, if they watch this, if they make a movie, pick a side if you really do believe like, like such and such is wrong, make a movie about why you think they're wrong and try to change that, try to change.
Well, yeah, I mean, if somebody says I don't want to watch the Saw movies because they're violent, and I don't like violence, I don't like those type of movies. I like romantic comedies. We don't sit there and berate them, and say that oh well, you must hate people that love horror movies. Then
There are some
no,
people that do that. There are some people that do that shit. And that's
well they do call
annoying.
yeah they have, but
That's
if I
sort of
sit there
annoying
and
because like I
well
know
we're
a lot
looked
of
at as
people
being
hate.
sick,
I know. I hate people. Well, yeah. Those are the very conservative Christians who believe like this leads to Satan somehow or whatever.
who love Passion of the Christ, even though it's the most violent movie ever made in the history of
I don't
film.
think I've ever watched it because
So
I have it. Like I had two different uh DVDs and I think I even have the Blu-ray of it. But the two different DVDs, one was the regular version, one was the like extended version. And I was like,
I have
wait,
two versions of it.
I
Yeah.
was like, there's an extended version because that movie already was way too long with too much shit going on. There's more shit that they could do to poor Jesus, like
Well, they're making another one. Mel Gibson's making a follow up. So
how
he's
do you follow up with that? Resurrection of the Christ?
yeah. It's basically it's after the 3 days.
So when he returns after the
Yeah,
3 days,
and Jim
and then
Caviezel is
whatever
back,
happens to
and
him, whatever happens to him, like does he go up to heaven after that? Like
well, he does become a carpenter.
well no, I'm saying
Uh,
after after he comes back to
I
life.
should say, I'm sorry. He was a carpenter. He comes back as a gardener, is what he comes back as, and somebody. It's not proven, but there are reports that Jesus came back as like a gardener.
What does that mean?
So it's well, like somebody found him and he was basically landscaping. So, but this is, we're talking, hundreds of years ago.
And
So
that's the
it's
Bible. Thousands of
so
years, thousands, like
thousands. Yeah. So
AD.
it's but but if I sit there and say, oh yeah, I'm a straight guy who doesn't want to go see Bros, then I'm a homophobe because that's what the producer, actor, writer said, that he blamed straight people for Bros bombing.
Right.
No, why aren't you blaming gay people? The film was aimed at gay people. That it has nothing to do with me. I didn't want to see the movie. I have no interest in this. Blame the audience that you were making it for. Don't blame straight people.
Or Miss Elizabeth Banks blaming men not showing up because women were the ones who were badass in Charlie's Angels. No, no, no. We didn't show up because you picked kind of not the most attractive Charlie's Angels. We had no
Well,
interest in that.
they actually have said that more men went to go see Charlie's Angels than women did. There was a higher percentage of men because they wanted to see three hot chicks kicking ass.
Right.
But
But
women didn't go support it. Women didn't go to
women didn't go. Okay,
support.
I was wrong.
Yeah, women didn't go. Just like the Marvels. there was a higher percentage of men who went to go see the Marvels than
That's
women.
kind of creepy to me though, because there's like a little kid and like it just seems like they wanted to see like Ms. Marvel, or whatever and stuff. Like she's like a child, so I don't
Well,
know.
but you have two other women there, so
Yeah.
that are
That
I
are
don't know how old Miss Marvel was when she was making it. I don't know. I have no
but
idea.
Captain Marvel herself hasn't been doing so well, like sadly. I
No, because she just keeps talking shit. So it's
Yeah, she's see that's the problem is once you I mean, this is why I love Mark Ruffalo because he's just an idiot when he's on an interview, but he doesn't say anything negative. He just might like accidentally spoil something or whatever and make Anthony Mackie go, "Whoa,
well, yeah, and,
who
and,
said
and
that?"
he did. He told him to shut up. It's in
Yeah.
one of the interviews because Marvel is very strict on what they could say in interviews.
Yeah, I think they stopped having him do interviews. They're just like, no, 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 you're banned. You can't do any
Yeah.
like we don't know what's gonna come out of your mouth and everything. I love him though. Like I think he needs more movies, like
I
non-Marvel
I,
stuff.
I don't know.
I like him,
Oh
you
no,
know.
wait, was it Anthony Mackie? No, it was who played the second Iron Man? I'm blanking.
What? Oh, Don Cheadle?
Don Cheadle was the one who said to shut up. It wasn't Anthony Mackie. It
Oh, okay.
was Don Cheadle.
That doesn't surprise me. But
Yeah,
no, I'm saying like I want more Mark Ruffalo movies. I always think he's hilarious.
I could live without that. So
Whatever.
so now let's go back here because we got way off topic again. So Williams trial, and within Williams trial, there is also and I have a hard time pronouncing this, so give me a second here. The Octagon Crusher.
I don't know which one that was.
That's the one where it's pressing on their sides.
Uh, okay.
That was the maintenance guy or the janitor, the Hispanic guy.
Oh, okay.
And he was there because he smokes, has high blood pressure, and so even though he has all of these, he knows that he has all these problems. He still does what's bad for him. So they have to hold their breath, and when they hold their breath, that disengages the two pieces that press it on their sides, like on their rib cages.
So messed up, man. Like, why can't, Jigsaw just leave these people alone? You know?
But the guy, because he smokes and everything, he can't hold his breath as long. So yeah, his sides get crushed. So he dies. And that's when William has the incision on the side of him that we find out later on has like a key in it.
Yeah, he has to the later that girl tries to open it up with the key,
With it tries to
or
open it,
or with
yeah,
the
with
with
a
the
with a
saw.
chainsaw.
Yeah,
Yeah,
saw.
with a
And
saw in
yeah,
Saw.
there you don't really see that many saws in Saw, to be honest.
No. Well,
I'm
in the very first film, there's a saw,
right, and that was
hence the
where the
title.
title came from. But then after that, there's not as many saws in Saw.
No.
I would like to
Then
see a
the
seesaw in Saw.
Oh jeez. Well, they could. Why not? The gallows one. What was the? Oh, okay, yeah. So the next one is the gallows, and that's the one that had the old woman, the secretary, who has a family, and she was up on the board, like the plank, and then you had the
Hmm,
young guy on the other one who has no family, no friends, no girlfriend, and the
right.
board kind of keeps pulling back, and he has to pull the levers
Yes,
to save
yes.
one of them. So who would you have saved? The old woman who has a family, who has loved ones, but is going to die soon because she's older, or the young healthy guy who has a longer lifespan but doesn't have a family, friends, or girlfriend? Who deserves to win in that?
Oh, so what was the like who were these people to him? No one?
They all worked in the office.
Okay. So what were their points though? Like what were their do you remember what their jobs were exactly?
The old woman is the secretary.
Oh, the woman is the secretary. You can always
She
find another secretary.
and the young guy is just one of the workers.
Okay,
He's
he's
just in
just
the
one of the
office,
workies. He's not like a
kind of guilt by association type of thing, I guess.
okay. Um, I mean, that's
If you
tough.
also notice in this, a lot of guys die
Well, yeah, he picks a lot of
in in
women
in
to
in the
live.
in the
I
first trap. The fat guy dies. In the
uh
in the oxygen one, it's the guy, the Hispanic guy, but they're both guys, but he's still a guy. Um, and
bless
then
you.
in thank you, and then in the gallows one, because they got the nooses around their necks, it's the young guy who dies, and
Mm,
the old woman is saved. I personally would have let the old woman go,
I don't know, man. It's tough because she has a family and whatnot.
but she's older. Her lifespan isn't as much. This young guy, you never know, he could actually amount to something.
Yeah, that's true.
What
How
if he
about
has the same thing as Amanda? That he learns his lesson from this and he goes, I'm going to go back to school, and he discovers the cure for cancer.
yeah, he has more
And then
chance. He has more
and he could have
time and
yeah, and he could
chance
have
to do
saved
that.
John. But
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, you're right. You got me, but I don't know what I would have done at the time, man. Especially when you don't have a lot of time to decide these things, you know? Like we had more time just thinking about this than they actually did doing it, you know, and
that's
everything.
why you
There's a
that's why you got to pick.
pick real quick. And so yeah, I probably now I would pick the I probably at that time if I had to quick pick really quickly, I probably would have ended up picking the woman. But if I had time to like really think about it, I would have ended up picking the younger guy. But I would have felt bad for her with her family and everything, and that like my mom just died, so like
Yeah.
I would love any extra time, with my mom. So if I, that's what probably would have got me and everything and stuff, and I would have just felt bad and would have been like, sorry, sorry, guy who never got to start a family.
But that guy, maybe if he wasn't put into a trap, maybe he would have met a woman in a coffee shop.
Yeah.
And then they would have gotten married and had kids. He's still young.
I mean,
So
yeah, I think none of these guys deserve this, like stuff happening to them, really. I mean,
it, but it's tough if you work for a company that is bad. I have been told that I'm bad because working at Extra Space and putting people's stuff up for auction. I've been called heartless and cruel. People yell at me and swear at me and think that I'm like the devil. And it's like, I'm just doing my job. And they're like, well, get a different job
but you like working at a storage place, this is what you
to a
enjoy
degree.
doing. Well, I
Well, and
mean,
they enjoyed that because they made money.
mm,
I mean, if you're this older woman who's a secretary, I don't think you're intentionally trying to harm anybody. You're just a secretary.
but you're a secretary, so you're taking all the notes, everything that's going on. If you know when everything's going on and then you don't leave, you know, or whatever, you know what I mean? Or
Well,
try,
okay. So with that being said, the next trap is the steam maze with the lawyer, the young attractive lawyer. And
okay,
she's got the thing, the spike
right.
that's going to go up into her head, and she has to make it through all that steam.
Oh
and
God, I hated that. Oh man, that
and
was
William has
not
to
hated that like it was bad, but hated it like it was hard to watch, man.
But yeah, because they're all getting burned.
I know.
That's probably like 100 degrees, if not more, as they're throwing the switches. And William could only hold it for a certain amount of time. And if she doesn't get through there and he lets it go, then she's gonna get it all.
Yep.
But then, she's cutthroat because she sees the stitches and then she sees the X-ray with the key, and right there is the chainsaw.
Right.
So she's like, screw this. I want
Yep.
that key.
Yep. And so she takes the saw, tries to like attack him with it or whatever.
Yeah, try
Right.
to kill him.
Trying to
Yeah.
kill him. And then yeah, I forgot that was where that saw came from and stuff and all that and all that. And then she doesn't make it in time, or whatever. and
And just
and it, and yeah, it was pretty rough, man, watching her body just fly around and flop.
that was a pretty good thump, thump,
But
thump
yeah,
of her
I,
body.
I almost felt like that was real. Like I don't know what that was, but that like I felt like that was really her falling. Like they really look good. So I was this director was what the editor or something or
Yeah, he's the
whatever,
editor.
the
Yeah.
editor, and he did a great job. Like, considering we've seen pretty much a lot of Darren Lynn Bousman, uh it's just it's nice to get a change of pace and see different people get a chance to direct these movies and stuff. You know, I definitely
Well,
like
and
that.
yeah, and that's the good thing about having an editor direct is he knows this shot will connect to this shot, will connect to this shot. So you don't have to do 8 different setups and only use one of them. He knows that shot is going to connect to that one.
That's why I am not an
So
editor.
I love editing.
I hate editing.
I
Editing is my
absolutely love
least
editing.
favorite thing. Least favorite. My editor will have editing sessions with me, right? And I think it's the most boring thing in the world. I like seeing the stuff come alive, but I don't like going, okay, cut this, cut that, do this, Like I'm just like, just do it and show me. And if I don't like it, I'll ask if there's any other way that we can fix whatever. I'm it's just not fun for me. I've edited on my own before, like movie clips and stuff, and I'm just like, oh my God, this is monotonous. Uh my former roommate from when I lived in Williamsburg back in, well, I mean I still live in Williamsburg now, but when I lived in another house, he was editing a short film that we did. It was called Brandon versus the Alien. I played the alien and we had this little short and I was wondering why it took so long, right? And he edited really well. Like he had all these really cool shots. What took so long was he also did all the visual effects and he had to rotoscope a lightsaber match, you know, and everything. To me and the Brandon and the alien fought a lightsaber match. It was pretty cool. But he had to rotoscope that stuff. You know how long that shit takes? Doing it like piece by piece, you know, it takes a
Yeah,
long ass time. So you know,
yeah,
that's why Star Wars has a billion people that work for them, and he only had himself. And so I can't do that. I can't edit. I would get bored, in 2 seconds and whatnot. But I love seeing editors who become filmmakers because you're right. They do know where each shot is gonna go. They work with the DP. Sometimes they were the DP at one point. DPs and editors sometimes are the same person, can be the same person. So they know all the shots and different things. So it's wonderful. I love seeing that. And this guy did a bang up job. Did he edit it as well, or did somebody else edit it?
uh, uh, tch,
Let's find out. Saw
um,
6. So that would be funny if he. Well, there's two editors. Nope. Carlos Barot is additional editing. Andrew Coates
yeah,
did the editing for this one. So, which honestly it did look different than the normal editing job, you know? Like it did sort of have a different look. I just thought that was the direction. No, that's the editing too. Um, he had
well, as I'm sure the director sat in on it, so it's. But the next one is the one that got the most
mm,
talked about, and that's the shotgun carousel.
I love that. That was my favorite.
I love that this was in like an old zoo, and how they took advantage of that. There was like a building that was a zoo.
Did he choose nothing but women? Like, period?
In the carousel, he kills a
No,
woman who says that she's pregnant,
right, but he does let two women live
and all the guys die.
and
Yeah,
all the guys die. And then I'm saying, but also the other ones, he never chose. You said the old woman got to live. like he did nothing but let all the women live, which I wonder why did he feel worse for them than he did for the men and stuff? Or because even the girl that went through that maze, it was a girl who went through the maze, you know what I mean? Like everything was women for him. And
But
then
I mean, she did die in it. I mean,
yeah,
William
but he
survived,
tried
but
he tried to get her, he tried to help her, you know, or
yeah, I
whatever.
mean, it's not all men that died, but there a lot of men that die in this in comparison. I mean, he does I love the backstabbing on the carousel because like the one chick's like, oh, who's she's thinking. You can see it. She's listening to what the other people are saying. I have two kids. I have a family, and then all of a sudden she's like, I'm pregnant. I'm
Yeah.
pregnant. Yeah, yeah, that's what I am. And the one guy is like, no, the fuck you aren't. You are not pregnant.
No,
And she's like, how would you know? And he's like, because I sit next to you. You're not
uh,
pregnant. And and
well,
and
that
and
doesn't necessarily mean anything. She could have just found out she was pregnant.
well, but William knows. Well, not William, but the guy that says that they all know that they're lying. You know.
They're doing everything they can, and that was the thing I think the men hated was that like the women could use the pregnancy thing potentially or whatever, or that I have a family or that I have, whatever, you know what I mean? Like they can use that stuff, and the men could not, you know, men could
Well,
not.
yeah. Well, remember back in the day, if it was a sinking boat, it was women and children first. All the men died. You
Yep.
know. Because
Yes,
the
especially
women could get pregnant and make more men if they needed to.
Leonardo DiCaprio, he died, but on a
And there was enough room on that door for two people, you cow. So, there was enough room for two people. But if you play the film backwards, he comes up and he survives. He's back home.
if
You
you
just have
play
to
it
play it
backwards, there's
backwards.
a message from Satan as well.
Yeah.
Um,
So, but that I love the guy, like one of the last guys to die, and because he was the one that was calling bullshit on everybody. But I love how he keeps telling William, you look at me when you're killing me.
yeah,
You look at me while you do this, and I love that. To me, that was a little creepy. It was a little like, oh fuck, that's a little, you know, it reminded me of Friday the 13th, the final chapter, when the guy's down in the basement and Jason's using that trough and he's
hmm
stabbing him with it. And the guy is like, he's killing me, he's killing me. And he says it like 5 or 6 times, he's killing me. And it's a really kind of gruesome, eerie, uneasy part of the film. And
hmm
this kind of reminded me of that, you look me in the eye if you're going to murder me,
yeah.
and how he keeps repeating it over and over again. So
There you
that's one
go.
of their best ones. But you also have to figure that Hoffman was the one that set all this stuff up because he told Amanda, he goes, oh no, he tells Jill, I work alone. So that means he knew how to set all this stuff up. So he set up the whole shotgun going up and down and firing and it turning.
But were
So
these based on like Jigsaw's designs? Like, did Jigsaw come
I
up
don't
with
think
the
so.
idea, or did he come up with the idea
I
himself?
think he came up with the idea. I think he just used the what was available at the zoo.
Yeah,
I don't know how some of these things are at a zoo. I don't really know what in the gallows, the two things they're standing on and how they're retracting. I don't really know how that works in like a zoo. And
hmm.
then in just one of the rooms, there's the merry-go-round.
Yeah.
Would seem more like it's at a carnival. Um, the steam maze, I'm not really sure how that would work at a zoo, but I guess that's just a maintenance thing.
I don't know. I am not sure.
So it doesn't, I mean, I like its location, but it doesn't make a ton of sense. And then after the shotgun carousel is the acid room. So
Yep.
where William gets completely hit with that and the kid who I just love. Just oh, I can.
Yep, I can. And yeah, he did a fantastic job. Like everybody, I was so happy, honestly, with this movie. Like I thought how badass it was and everything. And I just was into it, you know. And this coming from like just a one earlier, not liking at all really or whatever, just not being that into it. Now, I might change my mind if I would like rewatch these, but I don't know if I'll ever rewatch them because like honestly, I'm not into gore, you know? Like not that I think it's like ew, gore. I feel like after a while it gets monotonous and I feel like if you see it's almost like gratuitous nudity. Like after a while you've seen one boobie, you've seen them all. You know? I mean, I could go on OnlyFans or, xvideos.com and see nudity all I want. Can't do it on Pornhub anymore. Do you know why? Pornhub's been outlawed in Virginia.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, so you
Yeah,
can't.
I've heard stuff about Pornhub that they're a little
Well,
dark
it's like
webby.
it's apparently like some states have banned it and and whatnot. And the only like they have a thing like if you try to get into it in Virginia, it'll say there'll be like a little video saying that you have to go talk to your, people. And I don't know if I'm gonna go to the governor and say, hey, can you reinstate Pornhub? Because like so many people like it, like me.
Get a petition going. So, you know.
Maybe. I don't know how many people see as much as people might not it's a very Virginia's a very conservative state. The only reason it kind of always goes blue is because the DC is like right by there, so there's a lot of people that work in DC that like live in Virginia, or whatever. So they like live in Virginia but they work in DC doing and they're very liberal. So that's why Virginia is a very, but it's really also a very conservative state. And it's very hard to get people to, you can't talk about porno in most Virginia places, or they would look at you like you're a sinner. How dare you
Huh?
masturbate?
Well, there you go.
Mm.
Because God said it was okay. That's why he
'Cause,
created
I don't know if he
that's
said it was okay or not, because I never asked him about it. I was like, hey God, do you mind if I
how do you know
masturbate?
God's a him?
I just say him. It's just a thing. I don't say they.
God might be female, God might
I'm
be
not gonna say
non-binary.
they. I'm not gonna say they as God.
God could
That's
be an
just weird.
it.
Or them. They them for God.
Um, before we get into that whole thing. Okay, so then the very last thing on here, and we're out of Williams' trial, and it's the reverse air trap 2.0,
And
which we
that's
did talk
we
about.
did talk about that, and that was pretty awesome. And I literally thought he died. I thought that whole
No,
pulling off his thing.
he's screaming at the
I
very
know,
end
but
when
I
it
thought
cuts to the
I
credits.
I, I get it. I thought that he was screaming because he was dying. I didn't think he was still alive after that because I thought that was a pretty gruesome way to fucking, like whatever. But you're right. I didn't realize that. So I thought I'm glad to hear that because I thought Hoffman was gone, or whatever. And no, he's very much alive, I guess.
Oh yeah, he's not gone. So that's yeah. So
He'll be
it's now.
back.
Did you watch to the end of the credits? Did you see the
I
post
did,
credit
I
scene?
did see it where it's like don't trust the man that saved you or whatever,
Yeah,
kind of bit with the little girl. So I'm
and
guessing that's
that's
gonna come back to the next
well,
episode.
and her meaning of that is Jigsaw. Don't trust Jigsaw. Don't trust the man who saved you. Jigsaw saved her, but now she can't trust him because she read all that shit.
Mm,
So it's you could look at it in two ways. That yeah, don't trust the man who saved you, which could be Hoffman, or don't trust the man who saved you, which could be Jigsaw.
yeah.
So
Um, but yeah, I saw that part. And honestly, I'm kind of excited. I know Saul 3D, Saul 7, Saul whatever you want to call it. It looks fun. I mean, so I'm excited to see that. Did I tell you that I met Costas once at a
huh,
horror convention?
maybe I'm not
We
sure.
were in a we were in an elevator together. That was fun. Um, I didn't even know who he was. Oh man, that must have been the most humbling experience of him in his life. Because I was like, hi, how are you doing? And he was like, good. And I was like, are you going going to you're going to the horror convention? I was like, yeah, I'm one of the guests. And I'm like, oh, what's your name? And he was like, Costas. And I was like, I knew like from Costas, I knew exactly who he was. And I was like, oh shit, I'm an idiot. But we were
Yeah,
talking, he
Costas
actually
Mandalorian.
yeah, I actually got a free picture with him because I'm friends with his agent, and because we shared, I think he liked the fact that I didn't know who he was because it's got to be a little bit refreshing when you get all these people that come up to you and go, "Oh my God, I can't believe you're Costas. Oh my God, blah blah blah," and then he's just like, "Oh, yeah, thank you. It's very nice of you, right? Let me sign this autograph. That's fine. Yeah, whatever." But like when somebody comes up to you and goes, I don't know who you are, like as a big star, you know? Oh man. And you know what? Even if I did know who he was, or because I've seen his pictures, I probably still wouldn't have recognized him. I'm very bad at that. Like, I think I told you this story, but Brendan Wet Movie One, Brendan Mitchell. I met him at in Burbank, and we saw who we think was Tobin Bell, but I wasn't gonna go bother him and say, "Excuse me, are you
Oh
Tobin
yeah,
Bell?
yeah.
Are you Tobin Bell?" Because even if it was him, you know, you are now encroaching on like, dude, I want to be away from, you know, like if you saw him at like a horror convention hotel, that's different. Like I've seen Robert England check into a hotel and a whole bunch of people swarmed him, started talking to him and stuff. And I'm like, oh, don't do that when he's checking in. She was very nice. He didn't say anything, didn't say, leave me alone, checking in. But it should sort of be smart thinking to just leave a person alone when they're checking in, let them check in and you know, unless you're like right behind them, in the checkout thing and you just happen to be able to like say something to them. But if you're like running at them saying, "Hey, leave them alone. Let them check in and go up to their hotel room and have some peace before the madness that is the horror conventions."
Right.
When was the last time you went to one? Have you been to one?
I went to one with Joe about a year or so ago, but that's where I'm going tomorrow. Is I'm going to Creep IE Aftermath in LA.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I'll be leaving tomorrow. I'll be staying with Philip. So Thursday and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday is the convention, and then I'll be driving back Monday. It has like a massive guest list. So
That's awesome.
yeah, so I got to go through my movies and stuff to see what I want to bring to maybe get signed. But these
You're
things are
actually
not
gonna get
expensive, so
signatures and stuff? Okay.
it well, the entire Terrifier cast is going to be there.
That's awesome.
So because they're advertising Terrifier 3, so I'm going to bring both movies and a poster that I have, and that those are the main people that I want to have signed. But it costs money, it's like $50, to get like one signature. So I
Well,
don't
it's 50
know.
bucks just to get into the convention, you
It's
know?
it's very well. I get to go with Philip as press.
Okay.
So I don't know how much it's going to cost us to get in, but we go into a separate line for the autographs, and we're looked more at, I guess, a little bit more of like a VIP because
I
we're
think it'll be
press.
free. I think it's free as press,
So
unless so there's some like I was supposed to go to Cinema Wasteland and they said they don't do anything for press, like they don't, all this stuff or at least they didn't at that particular time. And I said, "Well, is it okay if I do?" This was when I was going to go to Cinema Wasteland. Sadly, I can't. Money kind of happened when my mom passed. There was just a lot of money that just went into just other things that more important. But we are planning still to go to Cinema Wasteland next year. But anyway, we so I asked them if I could go, do a like podcast or something or videos, shoot some of the guests, and they said, "Oh, that sounded really wrong," but I meant with my camera.
Shoot, some of the guys.
Yeah, you know, but I meant with my camera, with my video camera for sure. But yeah, then they said, that's, it's fine, as long as like they're okay with it, you know, and stuff, which I thought was very nice, and appreciative that they were very cool about it. They don't care if you don't need to be press, but they don't give you like tickets for press, and stuff. They just say if you want to come in and do that, you can. You still have to pay. I was like, all
Right.
right, that's fine as long as you're okay with it, because I don't want to do anything that somebody, wasn't okay with me doing. You know what I mean? And stuff. But I know they do two shows, so I'm hoping to go to the one in like April or whatever of next year, and with Paul. We were supposed to go this one, but it's just too much money. It would have cost us like $1,000 to go, each, you know, because of how expensive it is just to rent a car and then the hotel and then all of that stuff, would have just cost too much money. So I get it. It's expensive, and plus getting everybody to sign your stuff. So it's like $50 a piece, that might end up being like $500 by the time maybe more by the time you're done with all the autographs you want.
Well, I'm the autographs don't really interest me as much. I want to go to buy movies, so we're gonna hit Zia Records, and then right across the street from Zia Records is the Funko store, Funko Pop store.
They have a
So
Funko store? I didn't even know that.
yeah, that's like the actual place, and then from there we're gonna go to the convention, and then I'll see what goes on there. So
Very
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
should we talk about money?
Yeah, let's talk about the money.
All right, so here we have so Saw 5. Okay, so its
Hmm.
budget is 10.8 million and its box office was 118.2
That was
million.
less than the last one before too. Like
That
each
was
one seems to be going down now.
but with part 6, its budget was 11 million, but it made 69.8 million.
Ooh, that's way less than the hundred and
So it took a little bit of a dive. But I mean, for 11 million, that's still a lot of money.
yeah. I mean, it's 57 million, right? That it made a profit off of. Plus, I mean, actually, probably that might only be 50 million that they made off the profit, because 7 million probably went into advertising or whatever shit, extra shit, So it was probably not in the budget, you know. So who knows? But that's a pretty good that's a pretty good score there, I guess. I mean,
Yeah, because if
not as
you
good.
um so if you're looking, so Saw 6 came out in 2009, and Paranormal Activity, the first one, also came out in 2009.
Right?
So, and that made basically like 193 million. I'm going to say it made like 20 million,
It made 20 million?
if I'm reading that correctly.
Yeah.
Um, because his budget was 15,000. But it's so when you're making that, right? Because is that correct? Because this would be 193 million 355,800 dollars. So that's the first one.
That's the first, which one?
The first one.
First
The
which
first
movie?
Paranormal Activity.
Okay.
So when you're looking at Saw 6 comes out and makes 69.8, that's when you're going, okay, we need to end this.
Right.
And they only made one more because then Paranormal Activity 2, which was only made for 3 million. I'll get into what the actual it made less than part 1, but I'll get more into the numbers on that when we talk about final chapter. So because there was there was I did read that Paranormal Activity 1 made more money than Saw 6, so it was like, okay, we need to wrap it up. And so they made final chapter, and then that was it. Because so they basically let Paranormal Activity be the new like Halloween or October series.
Yeah, so what this is probably just repeating what you said, but like Chat GPT, I asked, if did Saw and Paranormal Activity compete in the box office, right? And it said, yes, Saw and Paranormal Activity competed at the box office during the late 2000s, but not directly head to head in the same year. The Saw franchise started in 2004 with the Saw films being released annually around Halloween, and it became a dominant force in the horror genre. Paranormal Activity debuted in 2009, but it quickly gained massive popularity due to its low budget found footage style and effective marketing. Saw 6 and Paranormal Activity not 2009 were released around the same time, and Paranormal Activity significantly outperformed Saw 6 at the box office. This moment marked a shift in horror trends as audiences gravitated toward the more subtle psychological horror Paranormal Activity over the more graphic, gory style of Saw. So,
Yeah, and each series kind of followed in the same path, including where at one point both films ended with 3D movies because they needed that gimmick.
yep. So there you go.
So yeah, that's it. Yeah.
That's it for Saw 6. We got Saw 3D, aka Saw the Final Chapter, aka Saw 7 coming up. I'm excited. I mean, this gave me a little bit of hope. I think it was a breath of fresh air, and I liked. I think the thing that really sold me was the shotgun carousel scene because that was one of the longer scenes of the stuff because I was like, we're really gonna go through all six of these people? Yes,
Yeah.
we do. We do. We go through all six of those fuckers. And two of the women survived. The one woman who said she was pregnant, whether or not she it was, you know, that kind of, you know, I'm guessing she wasn't,
No,
I
she
think
was
she
just
would have
saying that.
she was smart in saying it, but it
She's
didn't,
listening to everybody.
but it
She
didn't win.
figured it out. That's she figured that she could manipulate the situation, and
Yeah.
it failed.
It failed because the guy didn't believe it because everybody kept saying, "No, you're not, you idiot, you're lying. She's a liar." So that was a great scene and I did like the steam one because that one made me go, ugh, or the cutting off the arm. Those scenes were really good. There were some like really good freaking traps and death stuff and I did like Hoffman getting found out and we forgot to mention Agent Perez came back. So
Yeah.
that was cool, to see her again. So she died, just like Erickson, but I don't think she comes back. I did not see on her IMDb that she was back in any of the other Saw movies. I didn't check to see if Erickson was or not, but like I feel like the thing with Saw is anybody can come back because if they do if they do a flashback, that's all it needs is like a flashback. Like the guy that killed the baby or whatever,
Oh,
basically
the druggie who
the
does the
druggy guy.
miscarriage. Yeah.
Yeah, he could come back. He could go back in another one because they could show that scene again. And there could be more
Yeah.
stuff that we weren't aware of that was in that, and I like that. It evolves, it becomes something, I don't know if they have like a Bible necessarily. They say they do, but I don't know if like it's still there. where they have like the Bible of what you can and can't do, what where it's gonna go, you know. But I am excited, and I can't wait to see this next one. I think Carrie Elwes comes back, if I'm correct. So I guess you're not supposed to tell me anyway what's to come. So
I have no idea. No idea at
no,
all.
yeah, you do, but you're not going to say anything. It's
No,
okay. All
no,
right, everybody. Join us next
nope.
month. Next month, October, the spooky month. We'll be doing Saw 7 and Jigsaw are going to
Yeah.
be the two that month. And then the last two in November will be the last two period before we take a little bit of a break and then come back next year. But it'll be was it Spiral and Saw X. So I don't own Saw X yet. I will have to buy it before. Well, I guess I could watch it on. I think it's on streaming. It might be on HBO. That's where I watched it again. Because I like watching the HBO because it's in like 4K. So it looks
Yeah,
beautiful.
I'm still looking at them on this. So
I know.
got
I would, but I like it on there. The only problem I have with streaming, and this will be the last thing I'll share, is that when I watch it, it automatically goes, at the end it says, "Do you want to watch something else?" Now that the credits start rolling. And I'm like, don't leave my credits. And Tubi does it all the time. Tubi's worse
yeah.
because if you say, you cancel out of their 20 seconds, they'll still cut you off after a couple 20 seconds. They'll go right to the next thing. So you can't watch any of the credits, on Tubi. I don't think. Unless there's a way to do it. I haven't figured that out yet. All right. So you can see all the Saw movies. I think almost every single one, if not everyone, on HBO. So go check that out. I'm gonna promote them because why not? Or you can buy the
Pardon me.
set that John, I almost called you Paul. I'm sorry. John has that little set right there. Or you could buy the one I had, which has which has all the
All of them.
DVDs. Yeah, all of them, including the DVDs. That doesn't come with Jigsaw. But do you have Jigsaw on your own?
Yeah, Jigsaw Spiral on their own. Saw X is on its own. Yeah.
So Jigsaw I have on that one, but Spiral I have on 4K. Because I bought it on what is it? What's Black Friday at Best Buy when Best Buy actually had DVDs and Blu-rays. I bought the 4K of Spiral because it was like 5-10 bucks, something like that. And I was like, I'm never gonna get a better deal than that. So I picked it up. And I had never seen it, but I was like, I'd never seen any of these Saw movies, but I was like, one day I'm gonna watch these. I had no idea when it was gonna be, but it did happen. I wasn't
Yes.
wrong,
Yes.
so I'm gonna
And it's
watch all
still
of them.
happening.
Still
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Tune in next month for a brand new episode. Until then, everybody, have a good one. Bye.
Bye.